It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast on our Friday morning. It has been another very busy week here at the Real Estate Breakfast, but the weekend, we've got that in our sights as we cover all of your property news 7 days a week, as heard on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Amazon. Yes, Friday, September the 27th today. Here's some interesting information coming from CoreLogic this morning. They're telling us in August the number of Australian suburbs with median house or unit values in the $1 million range reached a record high. Get this, nearly 30% of the 4,772 suburbs analysed had a median value of $1 million or more, and this number is quite significant. That is up 21.7% since January of last year, 2023. 21.7%. This surpasses the previous market peak, which was April 2022, with Sydney leading the rise. And CoreLogic has reported 218 new markets have joined the $1 million club over the past year. Now, isn't that really interesting this morning? The data is there in black and white, and that is another key finding in 2024 from CoreLogic's team. And this morning, we are headed off to Tasmania and to Hobart to catch up with Deb Stephens. And she is from EIS Property there. And a very good morning to you, Deb. Welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast. I know that you have got some suburbs there in Hobart over the $1 million as well.
Yes, definitely. And good morning to you, Craig. It is certainly a hot market down here at the moment, and properties are selling. The most expensive suburbs in Tasmania are in Hobart. So we have Hobart, the city itself, where the prices there are around the $1.5 million mark. Battery Point is coming in second there, around the $1.412,500. And Sandy Bay is just below the $1.3 million mark.
I think that this is a really good barometer test in terms of how the market is tracking. That is positive news with 218 new markets joining the $1 million club. If it ain't growing, it's not moving, it's stagnant or going backwards. So that's a reflection on the market.
Yes, and it's really interesting to note that a lot of those were local buyers. So 80.5% of these transactions over that $1 million mark were from local buyers. Yes, there is still strong interstate interest, but local buyers make up the majority of those sales, which is good.
Yeah, we'll have a look at those interstate buyers in just a moment. So just overall, generally at the moment, how's the market performing in Hobart, where you are?
Property sales are strong. It's interesting, though, the statistics, if you look at CoreLogic, for the month of August, the average days on market in Hobart is about 50 days. Same time last year, it was about 35 days. So certainly time on market has extended. But in saying that, if a property is marketed and priced correctly in the market rather than on the market, properties are going under contract within between 7 and 10 days of being launched, below that $1.5 million price point especially. I think properties above that certainly will extend beyond that, but it's an interesting to note that there are a lot of properties that have been on the market longer than, say, the 14 days, and they're extending that average time out to around 50 days for the month of August anyway in the Hobart area.
Gee, that sort of sounds like a bit of a hot market that you're in at the moment. 7 days for transacting, clearing it out the back door. That's pretty good days on market. Perhaps we were just talking about the $1 million club, the medians. Why don't we have a look at the most expensive and the most affordable for people this morning?
The most expensive suburbs for the June quarter were Hobart, the city itself. Then it was Battery Point, Sandy Bay, and then if we go broader, around Tasmania, Geelong Bay actually shows up at 225 million, and then Coles Bay, which is still over that $1 million mark. The more affordable suburbs across Tasmania are ones that are usually outer lying. So you've got places like on the east coast of Tasmania, up near Queenstown, where you can get properties there for about $175,000 still. Rosebery, which is around $180,000. Fingal, where you're creeping up to over the $270,000 mark. Strawn, $290,000, and Scottsdale is into the mid threes. It's a surging mainland. Markets have provided opportunities for mainland buyers to see Tasmania as an appealing, affordable alternatives, which is why about 20% of the buyers are from the mainland at the moment.
Yes, because it kind of feeds into this whole notion that commentators are saying that the market is rebounding. No question that is taking place. In fact, Tasmania experienced its highest number of property transactions, it was reported, in 2 years, with 2,644 properties sold in the June quarter of this year. And that really does signal renewed buyer confidence despite the inflation and the interest rate hikes that still haven't come down.
Yes, it's interesting that the rising cost of living and all of the interest rate rises haven't deterred buyers at all, mainly because, regardless of the market, the motivators for people to sell don't change. You've got, the four reasons for people to sell are the 4 Ds: death, divorce, debank, and to move. And those things, regardless of what's happening outside people's lives with the economy, interest rates and the cost of living, those motivators for people to sell don't change. You're buying and selling in the same market. Yes, prices have changed a lot. So the record high for Hobart house prices was back in March 2022. And prices have come back according to CoreLogic, and we've seen it in the market ourselves, up to 12.2% below those prices back in March 2022. If you purchased a property back in that year, in 2022, you will find that if you go to sell now, many people that are in that position for one of those motivating reasons, they are actually most likely looking at taking a reduction in their sale price. However, they will be buying in the same market, so you find that the market has adjusted.
Yes, that is always the great situation, of course, when you are transacting at the same time. We are in Hobart today talking about the Tasmanian real estate with Deb. We'll come back, we'll talk more after this.
We help to break down real estate every day to help you better understand the Australian property market.
Well, if you're feeling the pain at the moment, every time you grab the wallet and you're about to pay for something and you shake your head and say, gee, this is just far too expensive. Well, Australians are enduring the longest period of economic hardship in over a decade, and that is according to new research from the Committee for Economic Development of Australia. The study shows inflation accounted for half of the economic pain felt by households between mid-2021 and mid-2023. And while economic misery has eased from post-COVID peaks, it does remain elevated due to inflation, unemployment and interest rates. However, some economists, and this is of interest to you, some economists argue that the situation is overstated, noting that while inflation is impacting living standards, low unemployment sitting around 4.2% at the moment suggests Australia is not in a severe economic downturn. Yeah, well, right. Try telling that to the people that are very much struggling and find those words pretty hollow on our Friday.
You can join the conversation every week on the Real Estate Podcast.
We are in Hobart, and a quick mention here about Launceston. It's recorded its highest house sales since March of 2022, although its median house price slightly dipped to $560,000, marking a 3.1% decrease. And that's kind of in the lane, Deb, to what you were talking about just before the break. Perhaps let's just run over the median house price and where that sits for September.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch what's going to happen in the coming months. So June's statewide median house price is around the $600,000 mark. Hobart's median house price is higher than that. So it has increased from March's figure from $713,751 to be precise. That's gone up to $735,000 in June.
Right, let's talk about the interstate buyers, because that activity, it is up. It's increased by 23.3%. Many purchasing properties as their primary residence, which is quite interesting. So what are you seeing particularly over the last few months relating to that?
Actually, we're finding a lot of mainland buyers are buying properties not so much to move into now, but when they plan to come down. So they're looking ahead and they're renting them out until they actually decide to come down. There's a lot of forward thinking because Tasmania is seen to be such a beautiful place to live and a lifestyle that's quite relaxed and very easy to get around and commute. And we have this beautiful landscape to enjoy as well.
And just finishing up on those first-time home buyers, and I know that it's a lot of transaction in the space, and that's what you've been seeing over the last few months, is it?
Yes, yeah, there's certainly the first home buyer incentive that the government have put in place has increased first home buyer activity. Their highest number of acquisitions has happened in this quarter since March 2021, which is really great to see because they really have struggled to get into the market. The median purchase was $515,000 for houses for first home buyers. So we certainly are seeing an increase in first home buyers coming back into the market, along with some investors, but not as many as we have had in previous years.
All right, well, fantastic. Good on you. First time that we have spoken, Deb. Enjoy the upcoming weekend there in Hobart, and we'll check in with you in a few months' time and see how it's all going for you. Thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning.
Thank you for your time, Craig, and appreciate your call.
Every morning from 6 a.m. across Australia, we deliver you the latest property news, commentary and predictions from Perth to Cairns and from Melbourne to Brisbane, 7 days a week, only on the Real Estate Podcast.
Bondi has a very wide range of values. Entry level, if you want, for a studio, somewhere around $500,000 or $600,000, but you can also go to, as you said, those eye-watering amounts of 20 million plus for apartments and or houses. There is certainly a very strong demand across the board on all those prices.
Dubai is fast becoming the beach haven party capital for the world.
Yeah, that's right. Dubai is definitely quickly becoming the beach club capital of the world. Soon it will be home to 7 of the world's most favourite clubs. The first is Casa Amor, Saint-Tropez. Gigi will open its next beach house at J1 Beach at Le Maire. Next up is Ushuaia. This is an Ibethan institute. All in all, it's going to be an amazing lineup of fantastic places to party and have fun by the beach.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.